Thanks for coming. We're really here to talk about the significant progress that's been made in the past few years about addressing the issue of veterans' homelessness. And I'm really going to turn it over to the experts that we have here, Tom and Michelle, to just talk about your progress. But the thing I want to say at the beginning is that the cost of the war has to include the cost of caring for the warrior. We have millions of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. And many of those folks served several tours of duty. They reported for duty when the commander-in-chief called. They don't make the decision about whether, when, or where America sends combat forces into the theater. They just show up. And it's so essential in a democracy that you have citizens who are willing to serve and defer the decision about when, where, and whether to the civilian government. And it's why, as a member of Congress, I feel such responsibility when it comes to the question of whether to authorize the use of force. But the soldiers who serve are in the democratic tradition where they accept the decisions of the civilian leadership. And when they go over and face whatever it is that's there, and it's always dangerous, and then deal with the consequences, they can't be left to deal with them alone. We make the decision as a country to send them in harm's way. We have to stand by them when harm is done to them. And perhaps one of the most poignant and moving examples of the consequences that they bear is when we have these people who've given everything for their country and they come back and they can't have a place to live. I mean, there's nothing more extreme than that. There's medical care, and I think we've been making significant bipartisan progress. This facility here in Brattleboro is tremendous. You know, it means veterans who are in the area don't have to go all the way up to White River. This is a very friendly place, welcoming place, and I really appreciate the work the VA's been doing. We're so proud of the VA here in Vermont because of its focus on the veterans and not on bureaucracy. And a lot of the issues with the Veterans Administration we're trying to attend to, but I'm very proud of the fact that we don't have those kind of issues here in Vermont. So this medical facility here is absolutely tremendous. But the homelessness is an issue that's been going on, and we've been making progress with some of the programs, including the voucher program, that's made a real difference. It's something that our office has been working on for all the years I've been in office. Bernie and Patrick share that commitment. And one of the few bright spots in Washington, in a not very functional place, is the joint commitment to try to address the medical and homelessness issues of our veterans. I'm going to turn it over first to Tom Appel, the chairman of the board of Home at Last. Tom?
Thank you, and thank you for being here, Congressman. We have a small organization started 5-6 years ago that works to raise capital in working with the VA in order to house our local veterans. We purchase mobile homes that are ready to move into, maybe a little bit of fix-up and some outfitting. And then we work, in this case, we've been working with Michelle Legue from the VA, who brings to us candidates through her work and through her screening process who may be able to move into our homes. So far, we have 6 of them, some singles, some families, and we are looking right now, we're in the middle of a big sort of a rehab program for weatherization, and so we're anxious to get that completed. We raise all of our money locally. It's all done by donation. We don't have any paid personnel. It's a board of about 7, and among the board members and a few other community members, we get the work done.
So these mobile homes are working out for our veterans, and
I think so. I think they're working out pretty well. They're manageable. We're able to go in and do repairs if we need to. It's not like a freestanding home. I know a lot of the The VA programs, some of the funded programs nationally are multifamily units, and we've just found that we're better off dealing with the standalone and work one-on-one with the veterans.
And then the funding, you've raised money, and is there any federal money that helps with that as well? The vouchers, for instance.
The voucher program is what allows the veteran to augment his rent to help us then with the overhead. I mean, that is really the key to it. There would be no way that we could buy a home and then even with the veteran pay for all the facility. I mean, the veterans obviously have the limited money, so if we had more vouchers, we could have more homes.
All right. Thank you. Message heard. I want to turn it over to Michelle Legue, homeless veteran social worker from the VA. Michelle, thanks.
Hi.
Thanks for all the good work you're doing.
Here to serve. But I guess briefly I'd say that I am one of approximately 8 team members throughout the state of Vermont, and we have in the VA supportive housing program, which is the voucher program, around 170 veterans either leased up, approved for, or looking for housing using a voucher throughout Vermont and the 4 westernmost counties in New Hampshire, which is the White River Junction VA's jurisdiction. Here in Windham County, I am very fortunate to be able to partner with Home at Last. Again, like Tom was saying, in the last 4 to 5 years, I've had the opportunity when there are veterans who are homeless and gain the VASH voucher. It makes for a very expeditious, seamless transition into a unit that they can therefore start working to make their own choices, have control, really gain steps in self-sufficiency, and in many times move on to graduate into bigger and better things for them. It is certainly unique. We're very fortunate here to have this because, as you know, veterans who might be homeless come in with all sorts of different complications, and being able to educate and talk with Home at Last in a very collaborative manner about the voucher program and what needs to happen means that these are just really already set units that are capable of getting leased up in. The Vermont State Housing Authority administers our vouchers, and they have been extremely helpful and as partners in doing this as well.
Well, I appreciate your good work over the years. By the way, there is some good news in the budget. The omnibus budget that was just passed by Congress does include $75 million. That's correct, for the continuation of the voucher program. And if past history is any guide, that probably could mean about 35 to 40 vouchers here in Vermont, which is
we can use them.
which we can use and our veterans can use. It really it allows us to make the most of our dollars because you're partnering with local organizations that are doing some fundraising like you are to supplement it, and it gives the flexibility to the local organizations to meet the specific needs of the homeless vets in Vermont. So that's some good news. Any questions?
A really quick question. How long has this office been open for?
Since May of 2010.
Okay. I knew it was much more recent. Okay. May of 2010. Okay.
And I've been here since November of 2010, so it was very soon after
that you started here.
That I started here.
Okay.
You know, it's really so wonderful what you're doing, because to take care of people who live in a community, you need the people in the community to be coming in and not have it just be a Washington-based kind of program. So, you know, you've got a VA that's anchored in the local community. That's enormously helpful. You know, you as a team member down here working with veterans, establishing trust, local people raising money, and then getting, in the process of raising that money, raising awareness about the gravity of the problem. Because my experience is everybody wants to help the veterans. They just don't quite know how. And everyone appreciates what the veterans have done. And everyone is shocked to learn that we actually have these people who are really competent, served, performed in very stressful situations, But really, I think as a result of some of the things that you get faced with and exposed to as a soldier, you come back and suddenly life's a lot harder than you anticipated it would be. So getting that help locally based with real local people being involved with the backup of, say, this VASH program, the voucher program, that really makes a difference.
I have a great anecdote from a former Home at Last tenant who had gotten himself situated using a VASH voucher and living in Home at Last, moved on to live with new family. And one of the things he said when we were talking later was that he wished that Home at Last could go statewide because it's such a wonderful organization that had done so much for him.
Tom, you got some work to do.
But to pick up
However,
on
we
that,
can support Home at Last as well,
To pick
or
up
those
on that,
types of endeavors. Yes.
we've talked a lot about the fact that this is, it's sort of an area. It is,
Yeah.
but it is very much Brattleboro centered.
Right.
And so you've got a population in the immediate region of, say, 20,000.
Yeah.
All the money comes from that group. It should be an incredibly easy job to replicate it to small communities around
Yeah.
the country. I mean, we look at big projects, massive federal projects and housing and some of the money that's come out now, the VA funding. But really, a group of people can get together, and how many thousands of communities across the country could replicate it? Very simple. I mean, there's not much to it, really. It's agreeing to do
Well,
it
you got to
and
decide
getting
to do it.
done.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
I think it could have a great impact.
Well, it's having a great impact. Do either of you guys want to say anything?
No, with partners like this, it makes our team, we have
Yeah.
a very highly functioning team. It makes their job easier. It makes their job
Right.
more efficient. And then you see fulfillment in the getting people housed, getting people that need it and very badly housed.
So we see that the psychosocial component of the veterans' lives are being addressed, and it makes it easier to care for the medical problems. So, when they're situated, when they're stable and rooted, then we can at least scratch the surface of getting their chronic medical conditions under control. It includes their psychological problems. So it's such an important part of the team.
It's like core, isn't it? I mean, if you don't have a place to live, you can't even begin to
Absolutely.
deal with the other
Right.
challenges you
Anything
face.
else.
Absolutely. Sure, and that's
Yeah.
what makes Home at Last so uniquely beneficial to this area, because I have this landlord who is interested in working directly with me and
Right.
having veterans that I work with leased up in their units. And so that therefore exponentially increases the chances of success for
Right.
those veterans, because
Right.
they're able to then start on the path of getting
Right.
better care elsewhere.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
really appreciate it. How are you?
I know there's one of them.
Okay, all right, I think we're heading in here.
Yep.
Hey, Congressman, how are you?
Hey, good to see you.
Dominic with the Reformer.
Yeah, no,
How are you?
How are you?
Good, good.